And welcome back to the Capitol Report. I'm Steve Lance. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has confirmed that U.S. forces have carried out 3 precision strikes in the Eastern Pacific, destroying 4 smuggling vessels linked to narco-terror operations. 14 were killed in the operation. U.S. Southern Command has turned over search and rescue efforts for a lone survivor to Mexican authorities, in indication those strikes occurred near Mexico's coast. Joining me now to break down these latest developments is Derek Maltz, Senior Vice President at PennLink and former Acting Administrator of the DEA. Derek, great to have you back with us. So the United States military today striking 4 more boats in the Pacific. What is your overall thought on this whole campaign, and will it be effective in hindering drug trafficking?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy that this administration is putting Americans' safety and security first. It's a top priority. That's what the citizens of America voted for. Obviously, he was campaigning on that message, and now he's putting his words into action. What people have to understand, like when we talk about Venezuela, we talk about Colombia, Mexico, these are very dangerous actors right now because the FARC and the ELN, they're narco-terrorists. They've been sending mass amounts of drugs from Venezuela into, from Colombia into Venezuela. And what we have to realize is that the Venezuelan corrupt authorities at the highest levels with Chavez, with Maduro, they've been protecting this unholy alliance that's gone on for 2 decades now. So enough is enough. We're losing, mass amounts of Americans. I mean, you see behind me, we've talked before, Steve, I'm walking around with a T-shirt with all these dead babies on the shirt. So again, I'm very, very happy that they are aggressively going after them. However, I will say, and say it very loudly, that until we start educating the American public about the dangers of these synthetic drugs, this is going to be going on for a long time, because these kids, they're turning to drugs for help. Mental illness, depression, anxiety are on a rise. We have to educate, and we have to really be very aggressive. Just like we're being aggressive on the supply side, we have to do the same thing on the demand side. But I think we're making progress. I mean, you look at the numbers, Steve, like if you look at some of the numbers, I mean, the fentanyl seizures at the border have gone down in half, right? So sadly, though, you look at the trend now with the cocaine seizures and the methamphetamine seizures at the southern border, they're going up. The last 4 months of the fiscal year, if you look at 24 and 25, we're seeing an increase. So there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm very pleased with the progress.
So, Derek, a big part of the whole issue at the border during the Biden administration, they argued that the policy didn't change. They weren't, changing the law, but it was the messaging that they weren't enforcing the law. And so now that President Trump has, taken office, they know that, it's not going to be easy. So when we look at the concept of these strikes, these airstrikes now, although they're isolated to 1, 2, now we have 9 plus, not in large numbers, talk to us about the power of the message that it's sending. Do you think these drug cartels are going to think twice that they could be the next one in that's getting blown out of the water?
Yeah, they'll get the message. I mean, look, the Secretary of War and the President have been crystal clear. And think about the statement. They said basically that the cartels are the ISIS or the Al-Qaeda of the West. So what does the American military do against these terror organizations? They decimate them. They destroy them from top to bottom. So this is the track that we're on. I've been saying that the cartels are like the ISIS, Hezbollah, and Al-Qaeda combined. So it's a very, very dangerous, alliance that has been formed over the years. And basically, this president, this Secretary of War, has been crystal clear. All tools are available to go after these threats. They've created this whole of government approach with law enforcement, with their Homeland Security task forces. They're using the military, the intelligence community to go after the corrupt leaders in Venezuela, these South American countries. And of course, what's really sad is that we used to have the greatest relationships with the Colombian National Police and the Colombian government. Now you have this left-leaning, corrupt president that's, was involved with the M19 guerrilla group back in the day. I mean, it's just really, really a bad direction. but I'm just happy that our leadership is standing up strong for the American people.
Now, Derek, the elephant in the room is really China. Before you were the acting DEA administrator, I was covering an event. This was a long time ago in front of the Chinese embassy here in D.C. It was a very grassroots event with families that had lost their lives to fentanyl. You were there. You were, one of the only person of significance in terms of being a former head of the DEA before becoming the administrator that was speaking out about this. China is America's top trading partner, and yet it's sending these fentanyl precursors to the United States. How can we neutralize the CCP's threat when it comes to these poisonous drugs?
So I'm glad to see the president will be meeting the President Xi in 2 days. And I know one of the top talking points is his discussion about fentanyl. But actually, it's way beyond fentanyl. I just wrote an op-ed just talking about the vapes that are coming out of China and the dangerous chemicals that they're spraying on the illicit marijuana grow operations run by Chinese all over the country. The nitazines that are all over our country, the carfentanyls, the xylazines. These are all these dangerous chemicals that are coming out of these labs in China, destroying the brains of our future generation. So there's a much bigger discussion that has to be had regarding the dangerous chemicals that are being exported, and in some cases with an incentive for the companies that are exporting this stuff out of China. So I'm hoping that, obviously with the tariff negotiations and the trade deals that he's been doing, I'm hopeful and I'm very optimistic that we're going to see significant changes. I really am. I mean, right now, as Jim Rao has said, he's the father from the Families Against Fentanyl has said, even at their first rally, we have a weapon of mass destruction coming into our country. Fentanyl is a weapon of mass destruction. Depends on how you define that. But it's killing more Americans than any weapon of mass destruction that I'm aware of in America. So it's got to be a much different discussion than we've ever had, because we just can't sustain. I mean, look, just this past week, 4 softball players getting together after the game, and they're all found dead. And they're saying it's a suspected poisoning out there in Fulton, California. Just happened. It was big news. There's mass poisonings all over the country. So we have to be strong. This is a very huge national security threat. This is not the same old drug issue. But what I will say, Steve, is that my whole life I heard about the drug war. This is the first time we actually have a war going on. We are at war with the cartels, and that's really the facts. I mean, we're using kinetic capabilities to shut down their movement of maritime shipments. So I'm looking forward to what the results are out of China. I'm very confident in the team that we have negotiating. So we'll see what happens.
Really wish we had more time. So much more to talk about. Former acting DEA Administrator Derek Maltz. Really appreciate your insights.